someone make a voice, or is there a fourth person?
The fourth person is
Duckman. Yeah.
Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 222 of Born to be Wild, a wild and wild adjacent Hearthstone podcast where we have fun hanging out with friends, talking about the wild format of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I am your host, ElectricSheepCity. It's great to be back on this beautiful Friday evening here in Kickin' Rad, Colorado. I am joined by fellow hosts Hydralisk.
Yo!
And Schmoopydady.
Happy to be back contributing to the pod.
For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs. And the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, thank you. Yes, you.
Content plug, Schmoopydady. Before getting to the main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon, where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, our free and amazing online community of friends from all across the world who love talking about Wild Hearthstone. Links to all of this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found on our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Sheep, how's your week?
So,
weeks,
plural. So I totally, I was like, I haven't hit legend yet. Don't worry, it'll happen. I was finally like, you know what? I've kind of been in a rut, just hadn't been playing as much Hearthstone, and was kind of wanting to do something to come out of it, and did hit legend with Big Shaman. So yeah, I was like, I think I reached out in a group of friends and was like, hey, I'm just looking for a deck like to just kind of drool my way up. And Schmoopy was in that group and was like, yeah, Big Shaman. Tempo Storm Big Shaman. So I went to tempostorm.com. I went and found the deck list there, and I proceeded to go. I didn't load this picture up for the show, but I do have it here because I'm having to refer back to it. It was something like 20 and 4. Proceeded to go 20 and 4. From Diamond 5 up to Legend.
That's better than 2.
That is 83%, which is
Yowza.
Low for Wild.
What were you versing the most?
So I was, let me see. So let's see. Against Demon Hunter, I was 2-2. That was my worst matchup. Druid, I was 1-0. This was right after the patch that took Dorian out. So Druid didn't really see a whole lot of. Mage, I was 3-0 against. Paladin, nice. 2-1. Priest, 3-0. Rogue, 2-1. Shaman, 3-0. Warlock, 2-0. And Warrior, 1-0. For the grand total of 20 and 4.
Either way, yeah, you spanked everybody.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, this is like Doc Delight's baby. He refuses to net deck anybody for this big shaman list. And you can tell because a lot of people would have added in the second fairy forest, which I think he's on record saying, like, no, we run one. The high roll you want is Muckmorpher and Gavel. You don't want the forest. The forest is what you're sort of settling for.
Right.
So this is his gal. And Blue Train has been on record saying it is the smoothest big shaman list he has ever played. Ever in the history of ever, and that's including like before it was nerfed. So that's quite something, I think.
Yeah, it can confirm. Initially, whenever I was looking at the list, I was thinking that a second location would be nice, and then the more I played with it, it's like one location pulls both. If I draw one Muckmorpher anyway, then the second tick of one location is dead, let alone a second whole location. So completely agreed. Like it just, the list is so tight. Like it just flows really, really well. So basically autopiloted that one into Legend. And this was, I believe, actually last week from today. So this was on the 18th.
Nice.
Lots happened since then. I also, and I didn't grab pictures of this one because it's not as relevant for our format. I've also since then hit Legend and Standard as well. This one with Renathal Big Spell Mage. So last month, I hit Legend in our format of Wild with Demon Hunter, which rounded out. I got all of the classes hit Legend in Wild. I hit Legend with all of them. In Standard, I only lacked Mage. Well,
Which is crazy to me. That's crazy to me. I waited this long to hit Legend with Mage. It's like Mage has had some awesome. Like I've hit Legend with Mage several times over the time that like we've known of each other's existence. Like how?
I mean, I have in Wild, just not in Standard, right?
Yeah.
Right? But 10 years later, 10 years down in Hearthstone, I have almost 2,000, not quite 2,000, but almost 2,000 Mage wins, and I finally hit Legend with it. So definitely did that thing. Life in general has kind of been throwing me some curveballs in general. So, mostly just kind of looking at stuff that has happened before rather than like curveballs now. Now it's just like stress stuff. So, in general, life is just kind of a little hectic and stressful, got that there, grad school, got all those things. So, if I seem a little off my game right now, that's okay. We all face some tough times now and then. And it's good to acknowledge that, but also not like, we're not here for that. So also just mentioning that thing. The really exciting thing, and we'll go deeper into this one later. We will go deeper into this one later. That is theory crafting. We got invited to the official theory crafting event, community event. And we got to play with the new cards early, and we got to play some wild games against Martian Boo. And oh man, if you think that my shaman win rate was low for wild, wait till you hear our win rate against Martian Boo later. It is considerably lower. It
wasn't
considerably lower.
It wasn't ideal.
We'll get to that.
Who'da thunk? Martian, good deck builder, good deck pilot. Oh,
arranging it right. He was like, is it okay if I use one deck? I'm like, yeah, sure, because like I know he wants like videos with X amount of footage. I think we gave him too much footage. I think he needs to like cut it down some to like a more time.
Oh, he's got plenty to work with. Let's put it that way.
He's got plenty to work with. Unlucky.
And other than that, just kind of work stuff. So, busy time here in the city of Electric Sheep, and very excited to hear what's been going down in Hydra Town. Hydra, what's been going down in your week, my friend? Weeks, plural.
Weeks. Yeah, well, let's start with, we didn't do a show last week, obviously. Partially, the reason for that is myself and my wife are celebrating our wedding anniversary, so we decided to book a hotel downtown Vancouver, like right downtown, on Robson. It was great. So we decided instead of buying each other gifts, we were just going to spend money on a really nice like hotel room. And we did that. We went out for dinner. We also, ordered food from the restaurant hotel. We went to every pub that we could. We went down Granville in Vancouver. And you know what? I should have took pictures of this. I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but the Pacific Northwest got slammed with rain. It was all over the internet of streets were rivers. It was crazy. It was absolutely nuts.
I didn't hear about that.
Oh, it was during our anniversary weekend. So we were walking around downtown and we decided to not let it deter us from having a good time. That would have been a great idea. We didn't, but we did lose some umbrellas. Like it was the type of rain and wind that when you're walking the umbrella, it's like a classic Charlie Chaplin. Whoa! Like it goes backwards, and it actually bent and broke like the pieces and everything. Like we lost multiple umbrellas during this event, but it was a really good time. We went to some Irish pubs. It was so funny. So we stayed up late on the on the Friday, and Saturday we went to this one pub, and we were sitting there. It's at noon. We're just getting lunch, right? And I ordered chicken wings. So I've got a club sandwich, and I was like, man, I could really use a Red Bull. And the bartender comes up. He must have heard me, and he goes, "Jaeger bombs are on special." And it's at noon, right? And my wife's like, let's get around. So okay, Jaeger bombs at noon. I guess we're going. Anyways, it was a good time. We played. My wife loves trivia, so we played trivia games and all that sort of stuff. Our hotel room was sweet. It was one of those ones that actually has its own kitchen and stuff. Like had an oven and its actual own dishwasher, like that kind of thing. That it had all the stuff if you wanted to make food, but. Mm-hmm. We were doing the downtown. It was like a staycation almost. Like we only drove half an hour to get to where we were going, but we were being tourists in our own town, kind of thing.
Cool.
So yeah, it was really neat, and yeah, had a really good time. And we came back on Sunday. It was kind of a lazy Sunday at that point because we'd stayed up to all hours. We were eating, drinking, doing all that sort of stuff. Just anniversarying. One of those two. It was good though.
Yes.
So I would try to log on when I could and do like some quests to progress this event that we have. And the first weekly is to play or summon 150 minions, right? Mm-hmm, so I did the thing, but when I did the thing, it told me that I can't unlock the next portion of the quest for 7 days. But I did the thing like a few days in to the event, right? And so for me, let's say I did it 3 days into the event. Let's pick a number to complete it. And then it said I had a whole week until the next portion unlocked. Well, in my head, it should be like 4 days. Like at that point. But it said 7 days. I don't have that screenshot because I was in I was in a hotel at the time, and I remember I was complaining to these guys, going, "What the heck is going on? What? Why does it say I have to wait 7 days? Did I miss it? Did I take too long? Like, what is happening?" Anyways, I took this.
Meanwhile, I'm just like, I don't know. I'm not paying attention to any of the like dates on it. I'm just like, I did the thing, and I don't worry about it after that.
Well, no, because I did the math, right?
Yeah.
So like right now, if this screenshot here was taken just before the pod, so this says 4 days left, right? But till I can start the next one. So I can only start the next one 4 days from now. So what's today? Friday. So like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I can start it on Tuesday. And then what is it going to give me 7 days again for the next one? It'll be over. Like if you do the math, it'll be over by then. So technically there's not enough time to do everything. So I'm in this panic mode of like, do I actually... There is a patches skin at the end of this thing, guys. Okay, there's a meatball patches. I know you don't care about
I love
that,
me some meatball patches.
but there's a meatball patches at the end. And if I don't have the allotted time to get a meatball patches, Hydra's going to be pretty choked. So, I mean, we've talked about it. Apparently, there is some awareness around this. It's supposed to be available. No confirmed answers, anything like that. But, I'm sure they'll do something. But if I can't get me some meatball patches because I didn't complete the quest till like a certain amount of days in, I'm going to be kind of choked. It's meatball patches. I want. Anyways, Blizzard, please fix. So I won't go into it too much. Sheep already talked about. We'll talk about it later. We did the Theorycraft stream last night. It was awesome. I can't talk about my week without mentioning that. It's also Molten Core week in Warcraft Rumble. So I'm sorry, Blister Guy, but obviously we had to do the Theorycraft stream last night. Now we're doing the podcast today, so we didn't get to play the last 2 days. But I'm sure we will slot in time before it ends, middle of next week, and we'll get reg. We will. There's also a big event going on right now. It's the like Hallows Eve, Hallows End, whatever it's called in the Warcraft universe, going on right now, where you get the Headless Horseman as a character, which is super awesome. He's so cool. There's all these different quests. It's a big rewards tree and all this stuff. So try to accomplish all that and the Hearthstone stuff at the same time. Thank you, Blizzard, for all the content, because it's really hard to keep up with because there's so much. And these are both technically free-to-play games. So definitely appreciate that. As for books, I'm at 32 sheep. I'm at 32.
44. 44. 44.
Slave driver. Insane.
31 was the count from last year, so I've now officially surpassed. I hit 31, so I had tied it 2 weeks ago when we talked about it. I have passed. I read Jaws, and Jaws is pretty sweet. I really, really think that I mean, they made a movie out of it on purpose. The book is really, really good. And I will say it's not the exact same thing as the movie. So if you're interested, give it a read, because it does not. It doesn't. It's mostly the same, but it's much more in depth, and the ending is not like the same at all, really. And then what else did I do? Oh, I started reading a book by Ray Bradbury. I'm sure you guys have heard of Ray Bradbury. I think he does like Fahrenheit.
Sure. 451. Yeah.
451. But I'm reading this other one called From the Dust Returned.
Ooh, I haven't read that one.
It's very fantasy, sort of Addams Family-ish, but written before Addams Family. It came out in magazines back in the day, and they pieced it together and made a full book out of it and published it in 2001. Oh, nice. But it's super cool. I'm enjoying that, and I hopefully will finish that soon so I can, listen to some more. And yeah, Azalea Akari points out Fahrenheit 451, good book. That's on my shelf over there too. I didn't actually read it yet, but I will read that one.
Oh, we had to read that in high school.
Oh, did you? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to. I don't know.
I heard it was a difficult read. And based on the language used, with the one that I'm reading now by him, it's very poetic, right? Like it's a book where he's rhyming and trying to be
cute.
I don't know, cute, fancy with what he's saying, that kind of thing. So maybe it's like that in 451. I have not read that one, But yeah, it really excited about how good Jaws was. I know that it came out in like 1974, so I'm like 40 years late on that book. Or wait, 50? Oh my gosh, 50 years late on that book. But great. Final thing I will say before we talk about Schmoopydaddy's week is the war is on. So this is the traps I have purchased to kill those pesky silverfish that are trying to attack my precious book collection. So I've placed these around my house in areas that Rory won't get stuck to them. So, like hiding in the back of my bookshelf and like behind things and under things that a cat can't like reach. But I will catch all the silverfish. Let the hunt begin. Schmoopydaddy, how was your week?
It was pretty good. I have a tough time thinking of personal stuff. It's all good and going good as far as like little man goes. I'm coaching him, and the hardest part about coaching, the soccer team of 6-year-olds is when your son is one of the 6-year-olds. It's just like he's just like, and like it's like nope, Schmoopy, keep the ball close, and he's kicking it as far as he freaking can and sprinting after it, which is great because it's like, all right, nice job. Yeah, like, imagine my son is like a giant like dumb jock, and he's just like, I pick things up and put them down, and he he just kicks the ball as far as he can. He sprints after it. I'm like, all right, now do toe touches, and he can't do toe touches. He gets bored, he gets frustrated, he kicks the ball as far as he can. He sprints after it. So like that's a challenge. That's a challenge as somebody who worked really hard to get good at a sport. And got cut from some teams, and then got played his way onto some teams. It's like, yeah, effort, dedication, commitment. He's 6. You still got to remember he's 6. And that is a challenging part of the process. But as far as Hearthstone goes, it's been 2 weeks. A lot has changed in 2 weeks. We had a patch we will discuss later that had some real ramifications for Wild and what the setting looks like now. But also right before that happened, I hit Standard Legend with XL Big Spell Mage, the No Hands list, and so that was pretty cool. I did that on stream, going through it, and I got to make a little video out of it. That was just like Wild player drools his way to Standard Legend slowly but surely. I actually have sort of enjoyed the standard meta for the little bit that I've played it. Like, it's allowed me, as messed up as Big Spell Mage is, it's allowed control blood DH to be a thing, or DK to be a thing, and Blood Death Knight is like hard control is one of my favorite archetypes because the win condition is always something goofy. It's like Mograine, or it's delete their win condition, or it's make giant lifesteal duder that goes face. It's just usually something kind of fun. And I like generating value that's tempo too. I don't know. People say Death Knight's boring. I like the flavor a lot though. And so I got to play that fun. Or Rainbow Control, and it was using Razzle Dazzler as a way to make boards. So there was an RNG element, and I'm good at that sort of when a deck is sort of requiring that to make things asymmetrical. And I just started going 50-50 at D5. So I just switched to Big Spell Mage, and Big Spell Mage was fun. I got into a standard climb altogether just because somebody was showing me screenshots of hey, look at these sweet bundle prices for hitting standard, standard gold or standard silver. I was just I want that bundle. And then I went and I've been too much of a whale. So they tried to give me the more expensive package. And I was like, wah, wah. So yeah, Standard Legend. And as far as my own personal streaming hobbies going, had a really funny incident a couple weeks ago where No Hands, waiting for the meta to change, found himself playing Wild, and he plays Reno Druid in Wild, and he was having a lot of fun, and people were like, whoa, Wild Wednesdays? Is this gonna be a thing, Wild Wednesdays? He's like, yeah, I don't know, it's been a pretty good ever since the Brawl, he's been very open about enjoying the meta and thinking the meta was good. And so what ended up happening he he started playing Wild, and one time he was trying to leave a stream, and he was like, "Hey, so what's a good Wild streamer?" And KVLT, who's a much better player than me, and also streams Wild, but somewhat, not very regularly, not much this expansion, but has picked up since because some of his favorite Demon Hunter decks have gotten very good. So if you don't know about KVLT, maybe we'll have him on sometime. We're working on those details. But he's just like, oh, you should, yeah, Schmoopydaddy's a great Wild streamer. And then out of nowhere, No Hands is just like, all right, let's go raid him. And it was like 7:30. I'm like, I'm putting kids to bed. Like, I'm not online. And Kiyo's like, quick, No Hands is raiding you with like 600 people. You gotta go stream. I'm like, I'm not streaming. That isn't happening. And so I got up later and I'm looking at my chat and it's like a bunch of people doing like question marks and different disappointed emotes and being like, and KVLT said, they're like, he'll be on soon, I think. And he's like trying to stall for me. I'm like, nah, man, it's all right. You're a mensch, but it ain't happening. It just ain't happening. And then what was kind of cool, and to kind of put a bow on it, is later I was streaming this week, and out of nowhere, No Hands raided me with, again, roughly the same size, like massive raids. Like, hey, we finally found a Wild streamer who's online. And I was like, all right, so that was fun, and a fun really way to little capstone it. That was cool.
I actually was there for the moment where that happened, and I was like, what the? Did that? Sweet. Like, good for you.
It was cool. It was cool. And again, I mostly blame No Hand. Honestly, the heroic Brawl, giving No Hands the exposure to be like, they have aggro, they have mid range, they have control, they have combo. You might be like, well, what's the mid range, Schmoopy? And it's Pirate Demon Hunter. But
there's a song about that.
Yes,
it's a classic. Sure, it is a Born to Be Wild classic.
Didn't you guys cover it? Yeah, you guys covered. Yeah, okay. The Born to Be Wild song. Yeah, I've heard this. I'm a fan. Okay, I was a fan first.
Yeah, no. This is when I was just a fan. Is when that one went up.
Yeah, No Hands used to dip his toe in like quite some time ago. Like, I wouldn't say he's new, but I'm. It's cool to see that the event, like the Brawl, makes him want to, like spend some more time dipping his toe back in. But I do remember there was a period in time where he was streaming a lot of Wild a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember I queued into him once, and like little did I know, I was playing, because I play everything, a primordial version of, essentially, like, he was playing Curse Lock, like Sunken City's like Wild Curse Lock, and I was playing what would become Miracle Rogue, like a weird like arcane giant kind of like themed Miracle Rogue. And I remember like sending like Seth for Christ, the DM, and to be like, dude, I just beat No Hands, and he's just like, PSA, like, he's just very like nonchalant. I was like, yeah, you were always gonna beat that guy. These guy's a scrub. No, but I'm really it was really cool to have No Hands raid, because he's an amazing player, and he's like one of these people where you watch old videos of like MTs and stuff, and like he's one of the contestants. He's a awesome player, and he's got the Golden Celebration card back. So you always like pick yourself up when you're like, oh, I'm playing once these guys. All right. But that was my week. I don't need to blather on too much longer, to be honest. What was in the news? Are we up to news?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
And there was a decent amount of news, since there was 2 weeks. Otherwise, dividing it up, it wouldn't be too much in either one. Oh, wait, no, there's a ton of news in each week. So let's just get right down to it. So first, a couple weeks ago, we had Red and Green Circle Day for patch 30.6.2. So, of course, that is split into two. The first one, really three, but one of them is Battlegrounds, and we don't cover Battlegrounds. So the first section is standard. So 1 green circle, 1 buff, and 9, count them 9 nerfs. So the buff to the kobold statue dude, and then nerfs to Yogg, Wondrous Wand, Puppet Master Dorian, Doll Master Dorian, whichever one that one is.
One of the two. The newest of the two.
Yes. Treasure Distributor, Party Fiend, Crescendo, Tsunami, Razzle Dazzler, and Injured Hauler. So those are all of the nerfs on that one. And then, of course, we had a second circle because that's how this one is going, and that one's for Wild. And we have a nerf to Radiant Elemental and a plus to Crimson Clergy. So, of
Canadian
course,
is back.
the Canadian has returned to Wild. So, of course, this was not just this past week, but the previous. So, of course, we already definitely know what's up with that one. So, real quick, we'll also go into the... oh, that's right. There was also a Hearthstone progression update in between that and the patch notes. So they reverted the weekly quests. You know how they increased the requirements, but also like increased the experience, and then there was that whole drama, and then they made it better. Everything is the way it was before. They just undid it, which is what they should have done way back then. But you know what? They got to it eventually. Honestly, for me, I'm going to be getting less experience because of this, but also there was all that drama, so they put it back the way it was before. I get it. Cool.
Yeah, it was like they were saying like people were like the quests were so long, people were giving up and just not completing them at all.
Yeah.
So like while people like us were completing the quests, there were a lot of people who just weren't, and thus overall less value was going out to the community, and so it wasn't worth it.
Exactly. And this is definitely one of those things where it's like, you know, the people who need to be incentivized to play the game, needing those smaller incentives, this isn't a change that is made for me. And, you know, I'm going to get less value because of it. But if it incentivizes other people to play, then that's a net win for me. So I'm happy with it. What do you think, Hydra?
Yeah. As content creators for this game that we've been playing for just about 10 years for some of us, why wouldn't we want more engagement with the game, right? So maybe we get a little less gold to go towards, you know, what we're getting for packs and all this sort of stuff. But as you said, Sheep, overall, like it is a good thing for people. I saw so many comments of, oh, like when it was bad about like the Win 10 games, or I think
it was 10, yeah.
Like,
and
holy
win.
Crap. And not just play, like win. Like that is not easy for a casual player. Like, no way, right? So when even like for me, when it was let's just do this at the beginning of the week, right? And it was do it on three accounts at the beginning of the week. Like just let's do it now and get it over with. I can't imagine somebody who only has, you know, like say 15, 20 minutes a day to play the game, and they look at that and they're like, oh, the largest
Well, I guess
quest,
I'm never doing this, right? Gotcha.
the biggest reward is unattainable, because if I'm going 50-50, I have to play like 20 games or like Sheep a couple weeks ago,
Or like Sheep.
that played a bunch of games and didn't win any. Like what? Like remember that? Like imagine how
Sheep does.
that would be.
I do. I remember.
Like,
But,
that would
but
be
since it was
horrible.
only play, I didn't have to worry about it. However, so I think you'll remember for me back then, I was like, I love these changes. Like I was really surprised initially that people were taking them so
Well, you were
poorly.
playing in the bathtub like all day long, just laying in the tub, like playing Hearthstone.
I mean, I wasn't just in the tub all day. That would have been. That sounds like a lovely day, but that wasn't the day that I was having. Don't get me wrong. That sounds delightful.
I'm only joking about all of your tub legends. Was the reference there?
Yeah, for sure. But like, I was and still do play, considerable amount. So I at the time was like, this is just a net win for me. And this is, at the time I was like, I mean, I don't understand why people are mad. And then I understood why people were grumpy with it. Not necessarily why they were, as grumpy as they were. And now that everything's being reverted, I am readily acknowledging that I am actively going to be getting less value from this because it's reverting to the way it was before. But also that I'm completely okay with that because what's good for me is not necessarily what's going to be incentivizing people who need incentives to play. What's good for me is like, hey, you play, life this game? Here you go. Like,
it was the second change too that we've had in like sort of quick succession. I think it was probably last week as well with the Tavern pack, right? Like, and it was a similar situation where it's just like, for you and I,
that's actually what we're about to get to.
Okay, cool, perfect.
Yep.
I was gonna say like there's a theme there.
That was last week because it is also in this progression update, in fact. So improving the rewards track. I'm going to skip this one so that I can touch on the one that Schmoopy was talking about and come back to this one. So they are updating the regular Tavern Brawl reward pack from a standard pack to a pack from the latest expansion. So this is another one of those things that for me, like a standard pack is worth more because like I pretty much get a whole expansion on the day that it comes out. And so a standard pack is always going to be like, I can bank it. And it can just be for whatever. That's not what the Tavern Brawl is really for. It's supposed to like try and get people who don't have collections to like be able to expand their collection. And so because of that, the Tavern Brawl reward pack is updating, not necessarily upgrading, because for me, it's not an upgrade. Updating from a standard pack to the latest expansion. People are getting the latest stuff. It's the stuff that people are probably going to be playing on ladder because it's the newest stuff. I don't know if that's going to be the case with this expansion. We'll get there.
Unlucky. Very true also.
But in general, like I get it. That makes sense. And then finally, they're what they're calling improving the rewards track by swapping out 5 of the early 50 gold grants for 5 the Great Dark Beyond packs and adding 4 the Great Dark Beyond packs to the Tavern Pass. So instead of 50 gold, they're give you
a pack.
Packs, which again, for people like me, this is going to be slightly less because I'm going to be getting the stuff anyway. But people like me are not the ones who need these kinds of incentives to play the game. So I get it. Yes, Hydra.
So I'm someone quite similar to you. Mm-hmm. And my point on this one, and you could tell me where maybe I'm erring, is so if we are directly getting 50 gold replaced with 50 golds for 5 packs of the new expansion, and it's early on, right? So if you open, let's say, the mega bundle and the regular bundle, and I don't know how much gold you plan on spending, but even if you spend like 8,000 gold on packs, you ain't opening all the legendaries. Like, that's not going to happen, but you probably have enough dust to craft them. These extra packs still could contribute to that because it is still a better value than 50 gold, right? If we're talking strictly the new expansion. So
Oh yeah.
I always open that mega bundle. I open the smaller bundle. I spend around 80,000. Or 8,000 gold. I would say that's sort of how much I usually have when it comes to opening at the new expansion. But there's so many legendaries these days that you need to super high roll to get them all.
My approach to it is somewhat different, and this is probably why I don't struggle to get the legendaries as much. So I have the pre-orders, right? So I get the legendaries from that, and then it depends on what whale bundles they have, because I'm not really spending money or gold on any other kind of things, just the whale bundles, which typically come with, of course, packs, but a legendary, like a specific legendary, which then re-rolls any of the lesser legendaries that you've already opened, lesser rarities of that you've already opened. And then like a signature, which also does that thing. So like if I'm getting legendaries that I already had, then I'm re-rolling into more of the collection. So it ends up being pretty cost effective in that particular way, because I'm only getting the shiny stuff. That said, I'm spending a lot of money on the shiny stuff. Like, don't get me wrong. It's not like, I'm not saying do what I'm doing, because like, it's not the responsible thing to do.
Yeah, I do not buy those specific, I guess the whale bundles anymore. Just the two things.
There's so many more now. Like, it used to be such a rare thing that is like, it wasn't, I'm not going to say it's not hard, but it was just like, it wasn't crazy to like, oh yeah, the new thing in shop. Yeah, I already got it. Like, right. Like that was not uncommon
now the shop
in the
is
culture.
The
now the shop, there's
long.
Always new stuff. And it's just like, I don't want half of this. Mm-hmm. But someone does. Someone wants the other half, right?
And that's good.
It's not, yeah. Just
and
products.
Thus far, all of the shinies have been things that I've wanted. So like, okay. Like two great tastes that taste great together. What happens whenever one of those diamond ones that has one of those things isn't? And then then I'm going to start opening some of those standard packs that I've got in my collection to finish out the set, which I haven't had to do in a while. So I'm okay with that. That's why they're there. That is exactly why they're there. And so that whenever my spending habits had changed,
well, that's what I always get. I always get, like, when, again, competing in standard, they'll give you those like ranked bundles, and really that's what I spend my Hearthstone money on. Like, sometimes there's a cosmetic or there's something that really captures me. I'm like, all right, I want to shell out for that. But for the most part now, I think. You get gold or diamond or platinum in standard, and they'll throw like 80 packs at you for, I don't like 80 packs for like, I don't know, $50 or something like that. You look at it, you're like $45. You're like, that's pretty good. And those are priced to be a special deal now for this short window, versus like, I don't have to buy those packs for the next expansion because I have a full standard collection already.
Right.
So like it does definitely change the calculus that they changed the Tavern Brawl Pass, the Tavern Brawl packs, but all the subs that they're making are basically to a wider swath of the audience than us.
Yeah.
And a rising tide raises all
For
boats. Sure. Like it'll come around for us eventually, even if this particular change doesn't work out. We can take the hit.
And honestly, now that I am not just like auto buying the shinies, like I am going to be evaluating those shiny bundles and maybe not getting those. So maybe the changes that they're making to the Tavern Brawl and to the rewards track are actually going to benefit me too, whereas they haven't previously. Like that. Maybe that could be the case. Like, don't get me wrong, I've got those standard and class packs that I can open, but at the same time, like, I'm going to open the free stuff first. Like, just because I have that doesn't mean I'm going to like waste it too, right? Like they are still the in-game resources, right?
I'm totally pro putting those 50 golds into, instead of having those new expansion Great Dark Beyond packs. But the Tavern Brawl one, to me is so much worse to me because that's the entire length of the expansion. This isn't the beginning of.
It's a hit.
Because at the beginning it's the early 50 gold grants give you the packs, but you're going to spend the entire expansion like collecting the same thing. So that one to me is much. It's too much, but we are in a different crowd, I suppose, people who collect all of the things, but man.
And
Never dust, though. Never dust, though.
Never does.
No,
Never
never
dust.
does.
And
Which I don't.
Unless nerfs, obviously.
I have so many things I could dust.
I gotta say, maybe that's, and I don't know this, obviously, maybe that's built into their calculations, like towards the end of an expansion, like maybe people are engaging less with the Tavern Brawl already anyway. I don't know, like what data they're seeing that's kind of leading them to that. Or maybe like people's collections still are super low towards the end of an expansion. And if they're offering new expansion packs towards the end, maybe it's still worthwhile. Whenever that expansion is almost no longer the new one. I don't know. Like, I think there are a lot of things that they could be seeing that, again, for the people who are like super duper engaged and can like craft basically whatever they want, like they aren't making these changes for us. They're making them for the people who are trying to grow their collection, not who are trying to like min-max it and cultivate it. Like, don't get me wrong. I've forked over a decent amount of money, but that to the game, obviously. But then once I've got those resources, I don't want to just waste them. Like, that's why they're still sitting in packs, because I don't want to just like throw them down and convert them into dust, because dust is so much less valuable than just getting the cards themselves. Right.
Sure.
I digress. There were also some patch notes. So the patch notes, we're going to rocket through a lot of these. We'll focus in on 4 of these things. So going quickly, Yogg-Saron Unleashed, that was the new Yogg, went from 9 mana to 10. It went up 1. Wondrous Wand, generated from Marin the Manager. Old used to be draw 3 cards, reduce their cost to 0. New, draw 3 cards, reduce their cost by 3. So it's still reducing by 9. Like, it's still a good deal, but it's not.
Yeah, it's excellent still.
It's still incredible.
It's just not ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Here's one that we're going to do a slightly deeper dive on, and that is Puppet Master Dorian. Old 4 mana, new 5 mana. Schmoopy, why is this a very important breakpoint?
Originally, the issue with this was you could basically run in Wild 3 copies of Puppet Master Dorian, because you also ran 2 copies of Oaken Summons, which were easy enough cards that you could go and fetch with cards like Moonlit Guidance, with cards like the new Bottomless Toy Chest, I think is what it's called, something like that.
Yep.
So you could basically tutor copies of Dorian and run a bunch of 3 easy to discover copies of Dorian, do Charge Druid shenanigans, do Tog Druid shenanigans, steal the opponent's deck, or run them down with gigantic chargers from hand at a very early time. Was it a competitive deck? I think this deck probably topped out at like a 45% win rate across like all skills. That's just capturing the deck list and people using that set of cards on Donkey, HS Guru. Mm-hmm. So was it a competitive deck? You could hit Legend with it, like Blister Guy did, to good effect. Like there are definitely ways to min-max it, but it was very much like a not very good folds to aggro combo drooler, just sort of cheap Timmy Thrill to just send a bunch of charge damage at people's faces. But it was very polarizing, because the decks it did beat, it beat solidly. The decks it lost to solidly. Deleting this deck by essentially getting rid of those copies of Puppet Master Dorian. The consistency is gone now. It's like super a meme. That has opened up some things, and in some ways, weirdly enough, closed them.
Fascinating. Well, they also made a change. This one makes me very sad. To Treasure Distributor. Treasure Distributor, my love. Who used to be, after you summon a pirate, give it and this minion plus 1 attack. And now you read, after you summon a pirate, give it plus 1 attack. What are the ramifications of the nerf to my dear Treasure Distributor?
Okay, can we talk about the ramifications of like buffing it to where it was initially? Like it was like, oh, this is one of the best 1-drops in the game. Oh god, you've vaulted it into like, is this one of the best 1-drops ever? Back to like, okay, well now you're already down to one of the best 1-drops in the game. The stranglehold that Renathal has on Wild right now, and 40 health, and the problems that it causes, and the amount of, again, synergies with so many cards that we have, making cohesive strategies that actually use all 40 cards, is a big deal. Aggro is in a rough spot. This is a whack to aggro, but something really weird happened here. The TLDR notes that I had to sort of prepare for the show tonight is if something was either not deleted, like Dorian Druid, or like not nerfed in general, if it was good before, it's still good now. One of the decks that sort of did get nerfed and then got better, weirdly enough, is Pirate Demon Hunter, because Pirate Demon Hunter does not like other aggro decks. It doesn't like Shadow Priest. Like it loses to Shadow Priest something like 66% of the time. Like it's a rough matchup. They flood the board much harder than you do. You really need specific swing backs like Sigil of Skydiving and Hosen Roughhouser to swing the board back. Like it's a brutal, awkward matchup. And so Treasure Distributor kind of like attacking Pirate Rogue, attacking Shadow Priest, and just sort of lightly tapping Pirate Demon Hunter while getting rid of stuff like, we'll talk about other stuff that got deleted, but basically its big fish got deleted. So Pirate Demon Hunter is looking like one of the better decks in the format right now, oddly enough, despite getting nerfed. This is a huge deal for the Wild meta, because it's another sort of hamstringing of aggro. Stuff is slowing down significantly.
I was running Treasure Distributor in my Embiggen aggro druid. That deck was already not good.
Now it's worse.
We got some more of those nerfs. One of them was to Party Fiend. Used to be a 1-mana 1/1, now is a 2-mana 2/1. Same effect. Still, you take 3 damage and summon 2 1/1s. Neat. Crescendo used to cost 2 mana, now costs 3. Same effect. Tsunami. They reverted the buff to Tsunami. So Tsunami used to be 8 mana, summon 3/3/6 water elementals that freeze. They attack random elementals or random enemies. They buffed it to be 10 mana and 4, and now they just nerfed it to be what it originally was again. So 8 mana, 3 water Ellies.
You were never paying 10 mana anyway, right?
No, yeah.
So,
No.
This was a 0 or 1 cost card, right? So the
It's
only
a 5 or a 6, but you're okay with that.
Yeah.
but
Often a 4.
Often 4.
But like it
Three
in
fair
all
amount of the
honesty,
time.
and then you were just getting the repeated effect. It just, all honesty, it's a huge hit. Only like the mana cost seems to not really matter at all. It's just the amount of water elementals that get summoned. Schmoopydady.
I can see one situation where the cost does matter. I saw some people, like, again, no hands, who hit rank 1 with the deck before these nerfs hit, saying that actually nerfing this to 8 mana is a buff. For the specific reason, I believe, of you're running the elemental, the ice elemental, that tutors an ice spell and then begins reducing it slowly over time. And so if you, let's say, coin out that elemental, I think you can drop Tsunami at 8 mana. Check my maths. I think at like turn 5. Like, you can drop it sort of absurdly early, and I'm waiting to say any more until I know that Sheep has got like, right? So like discounts it by 3.
7, 6, 5.
Yep, turn 5, you can drop a Tsunami now. And so
But also if you play it on 3, then 7, 6, you could still coin it out on 5.
Coin it out on 5. Either way. I'd probably, knowing me and my wild brain, I'm like, make minion medium faster. And so I'm going to make the 3/3 on 2 because like my wild brain tells me tempo now. And then, you know,
and I agree with that line, by the way.
Probably. But like that's
but it's the same break point.
That's a significant buff, right? Like, because like, otherwise you're waiting till 6, and that's a whole turn slower to get 4 water elementals. And sometimes, and this is a thing of that comes from playing the deck, and I played the deck a substantial amount. I brought it to Legend.
Same.
Board swarming. Board swarming becomes an issue, right? Mm-hmm. Like how much space is left on the board. So like 8 mana, it was a good move, and I shouldn't dawdle too much on this concept, but this is one of the premier cards that they, again, buffed, and with an interesting case, buffed again, trying to nerf it. But also, like, it's more of a side grade at that point, right? Like, if you're having this conversation, we're just side grading it.
And I think that the initial one was a side grade, too. Like, I remember...
Yeah.
I don't remember if I said it on the show or not, but I know that I said it to y'all that I didn't know if it was necessarily a buff initially as well, that it was kind of a side grade for the same reasons we were talking about. I do think at the end of the day, having now played it before and after, since we were essentially cheating it out earlier and the mana was kind of inconsequential, that the additional elemental was consequential. So like, yeah, it now we can just get it out faster in other circumstances. So still total side grade, but yeah. Yes, take it away, Hydra.
Sometimes I was winning so hard with Big Spell Mage, I didn't have room for all 4, so I guess I'll take 3.
Yeah. Right? Also true.
Great point. There you go. It's like you could play the spell, Con Man, and then like the replayed spell is not automatically deleting like Water Elementals. All right, sorry. We've beaten the dead horse.
They also reverted the buff to Razzle Dazzler. So initially, Razzle Dazzler was 7 mana, and then they buffed him to be 6 mana, and then they nerfed him again to be 7 mana. It's still a fine card. Like in standard, you can still run this card and be perfectly content. Like sometimes I think that they just like buff cards to be like, look over here, this card is good and you should play it. And I think that was probably what was happening with Razzle Dazzler, and more Razzle Dazzler than Tsunami, because Big Spell Mage got some other considerable help with the mini set. But I digress.
Do you think people that work at Blizzard, if your card that you design gets played the most, maybe you get more of a bonus? And so they're like, hey, let's buff this one.
I don't think so, but I like that idea.
I'm going to be real serious. I don't think you necessarily get paid more, but I think like if you're in that team meeting and you're sharing your opinion, you're just like, I don't know. This guy's been rolling bangers right now. Maybe we should just go with this guy's opinion. I'm serious. It's a human process ultimately, right? Like I would not be shocked if that was definitely influencing things. Like, you don't think there's like a friendly score in the office? It's just like, I got X number of cards, top whatever in HS replay. Like, I wouldn't shock me. Like,
no one's playing Jimmy's cards.
Too. Look at us.
Let's buff Jimmy's cards. Gotta buff
that
him.
Means that Jimmy's making balanced cards, and Edward over there is making the broken cards. And that's why they're always at the top.
Stupid. It's like whoever's the winner doesn't have to pay for their taco on Thursday, right? Like it's like something insane. It's like something that's just like, I'm getting that free taco. I don't care what happens. These players can rot for 2. No, like I'm
gonna sneak this one into the patch notes.
Okay, so also nerfed was Injured Hauler. It used to be Overheal, deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. And now it's Overheal, deal 1 damage to all enemy minions. And finally on the nerf side, it's Radiant Elemental. Old, your spells cost 1 less. New, your spells cost 1 less, but not less than 1. Schmoopydady, you played the deck that this card was featured in extensively. Tell me how they massacred your boy.
Yeah, it's gone. It's gone. We can do like dumber, more awkward, weirder things. We can do what is it? Void Fiend or something like that. It's a 2-mana 2/3 card in Priest. Every card you draw costs 1 less. So like we can do some weird stuff now with another wild significant change that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast, where it's a similar pattern of play. But no, this is massive. This is massive, and this is like if you wrote down a Reddit hit list of cards that they would want taken care of. The only 2 that are left up right now that I can think of are like Block and Seed. Like this was on a short list. Like, well, we should give it the Sorcerer's Apprentice text, not less than 1. Mana Cheat is evil. I'm not a big fan of like the Mana Cheat is evil. Talking point just in general, because I think if you're limiting yourself that much, you're limiting yourself to boring design, and like people are like no, and I guess it's an opinion part at that point, but like you're not gonna appeal to the masses if they can't play their stuff for 0. I'm sorry. Like if you can't like have rules and then sometimes I broke the rules, like that's exciting, like that's fun, that's part of good card design, I think. You could argue
I agree.
It happens too often in Hearthstone, and maybe there should be a balance more. But like, come on, man. Hydra, what were you gonna say?
I'd like to speak on behalf. Actually, I shouldn't say that. From the point of view of someone that may think that Mana Cheat is evil, and the reason I feel like I can say this is if you check out how many Druid wins I have. I think I've posted screenshots of this. I think it's 200 and something, maybe 300.
It's more than 2.
Your druid wins total is like it's like you go into a cave
it's baffling
and you find a creature that shouldn't be alive anymore. You've found fossils of this thing, and it's still crawling around, and it was from the Paleozoic, and it doesn't even eat its food. It just kind of licks it. It just kind of licks it just to see if it's like it has that right vitamin that for whatever reason is keeping it alive as long as it has, but it has no hope of advancing. That's your druid win total for how long that you've been playing. It's astonishing.
For a decade, and I have that many wins. It's insane. And I'm going to put myself in the mind frame of somebody who says like Mana Cheat is evil, it's broken, all that sort of stuff. When I see someone who plays Guff on curve, I'm like, great, here we go. And just ramps and trust me, they didn't just play it on curve, they ramped into it. Like I'm sitting here with 2 mana and they're playing Guff, right? Like that kind of thing. I might be exaggerating a little, but not really.
No, I got you.
And it's discouraging, right? Because you're like, I'm in for it. However, as someone who has been playing the game for a long time, I get it. That's what Druid has been doing that forever, and they even nerf it. Right, they have nerfed the ramp in Druid. Believe it or not, it could be worse.
And they've unnerfed it. To be fair, we have Wild Growth back. Like I remember,
not Innervate though.
My first nerf that I can remember is Wild Growth. Like was Wild Growth the same patch as like Leeching Poison? Like I remember those 2 decks. I remember being like,
Nourish was cheaper.
I just got hit with a Cane. I just get hit with a Kingsbane, and now it has life. I can't beat that. What is this? I'm playing Murloc Shaman. Like I remember these nerfs though. I remember thinking like, wow, Druid is nuts because they're doing stuff that's way stronger than I can keep up with. Like, how do I beat Druids? Why isn't everybody just playing Druid?
I don't know. I ended up with 4,233 is my current druid win count. So I don't know why people aren't just playing druid.
I'm like 3K.
You have
crazy,
exactly
crazy.
4,000 more druid wins than I do.
I believe it.
Which is funny. I just don't. I identify with the class. I guess
That's okay.
it's not been.
Have you tried spell damage druid yet? Have you tried that?
I mean, I've played Malygos druid like
No, like
way back in the day.
It's
but
way
the new
different.
modern
It's
one.
more of a
The
combo
new-
deck,
Yeah.
kind
it's
of.
closer to.
No, I know it
closer
runs
to
the same
It's
combo
a
as all the
burn-and-burst
other
deck,
decks.
whichever.
Yeah.
NHL fan calls it freeze mage all the time. He's just like, it's just freeze mage, but you gain armor. There's no blocks.
Yeah, no, it's the same package but different win condition, right? Is most druid decks, but no, it just hasn't been a thing. But in that perspective, I understand how people can queue into those decks and feel hopeless, basically, and mage as well with their biscuits and the just like. Come on, like it's crazy. Which is why I don't play that deck either. It's like, yeah, with their biscuits.
Well, we also had some buffs. So one of them was the Golden Kobold, which in Standard was generated by Maren the Manager. Used to be old Taunt, Battle Cry, replace your hand with legendary minions. Ho ho. But my friends, they buffed the Golden Kobold. Now it is replace your hands with legendary minions. They cost one less. So Hydra, I know how you love mana cheat. So this lets you mana cheat as some legendary minions a little bit too, as a treat. So finally, the one that we're actually going to talk about for a little bit, because this has some only wild ramifications, and that is that Crimson Clergy is no longer banned in the wild format. Only wild implications for that one.
There must always be a Canadian.
The Canadian is back. So, Schmoopy, what are the implications of the Canadian's return to our format?
I'm having a really tough time getting past mages and their biscuits. But Clergy... Crimson Clergy was a crazy draw engine. It was so extreme. The last time it was available in Wild, we're building Reno Priest not only in a shadow form, but also in a non-shadow form, which is interesting because you do get access to cards like Love Everlasting. You get access to cards like Zyrella, which are very powerful cards and are even like wild level of power level, but you know, they don't play nice with shadow, and so they see no play. Clergy was in like a low curve, like it would actually look very modern, a very low curve Reno Priest that was non-shadow because you were running Fan Club, you were running healing effects. It was sort of tempo forward. I brought it to THL and won with it once. I should try to track down the list. But even in a list like that, last time Crimson Clergy was in Wild, we were trying to do like Mind Blast OTKs and draw a million cards with it. And it's just such a powerful draw engine for a class that you'd argue, if you're a dinosaur like me, it's not a part of the priest identity to draw cards, right? They already generate resources. They can already tutor specific things. They don't need to also draw freaking cards, man. So this is what Radiant died for. Radiant died, and people pushed behind the scenes to kind of be like, listen, if we're gonna ban Radiant, which is part of the fun of Wild, can we have at least Clergy back? Can we have a toy back? And Hat, I believe the direct message was, you guys asked for Clergy back. Okay. Me personally, I think everybody's catching strays for Funnel Cake. I think Funnel Cake is an abomination in both Druid and in Priest. Its crimes are innumerable, and nobody's taking care of it, and nobody's listening to me. That is
because I told you so hard in that one episode with the funnel cakes.
That must be it. That must be it. That must be it. That must be down there deep, and it's just I'm taking it out. But no, I think Funnel Cake is a problem. And Radiant caught a stray for Funnel Cake. However, Funnel Cake is still super busted, and it's still super busted, especially with Crimson Clergy because of how often you overheal with it, and you can like draw 4 with it. And so we have this really weird, messed up, very Chinese pilled list now of like Miracle Priest, where you're doing Crimson Clergy, Shadow Fiend stuff, and you're discounting stuff by 1, and thus being able to play it for 3. And it's, if you close your eyes and you hold your breath, it's kind of like you're playing Clergy, but it's not quite the same. Radiant Elemental, but it's not quite the same.
Right.
I mean, this getting rid of Miracle Priest means that Pirate DH has a huge Predator gone from the meta. It just doesn't have to worry about it. In the same way that some of the slower decks don't have to worry about Charge Druid anymore as just like an almost unwinnable matchup. It's like, poof. Okay, there's all this space now to take up. And so Radiant going and Clergy coming back in, huge changes to the meta so far. We're stuck in a place where aggro is not in the greatest place, but the decks that were good before are still good, and the weird stuff at the edges is trying to do stuff with the Clergy, and like that's a soundbite right there.
And right now it is just the weird stuff at the edges. Yeah.
I would like to argue that the Priest was never known for card draw, because back in the day, the last thing you wanted to hear on turn 1 was, is somebody injured? And Northstar Cleric on 1 that you just could not deal with, and they would just heal it, draw. I flipping hated that.
And it was a meme that you never go full Northshire, never go double Northshire, because whenever you do that, then you just like draw too much.
Yeah.
I think that might have been why Savitz quit Hearthstone.
I at least got to beat Savitz before he quit Hearthstone, so we can.
Nice.
They also had a developer insights about the forthcoming pre-release Tavern Brawl. So, October 29th through November 5th. So, of course, that is the upcoming Tuesday, the 29th, through November 5th. That is the subsequent Tuesday. So, Tavern Brawl Day, usually Wednesday, but they moved it to Tuesday to coincide with that makes sense, with the expansion release. We'll get to the cost later. So, eligible sets for this. So, this is not basically standard. This is the following sets are the only legal sets: core set, the event set, so like Hearthstone Brew and stuff like that, Whizbang's Workshop, Perils in Paradise, and the Great Dark Beyond. So not the previous standard year. So nothing,
just the newest one,
right? So not Showdown at the Badlands. Reno won't be in there. Anything like that. So they're finding a way to make it more distinct and make it just the new stuff. So honestly, kind of let us see. From my perspective, I think it's going to be illuminating to see where Hearthstone is going to be next standard year.
Yeah,
right?
For sure. That's a good way to look at it.
Mm-hmm. So, of course, the core set will be a little bit different then, too. I'm sure that they'll change things like they always do. We don't know any particulars there, but like they always do that. So I'd be surprised if they didn't. Right. So the core set, I think, is the only thing. And then, of course, the event set. They mentioned in a previous one that like Hearthstone Brew will be rotating, and then the gifts. But things like the Avatar of Hearthstone we're keeping and stuff like that, which are also in the gift set. So that'll be slightly different on rotation as well. But a little bit of a glimpse into the rotation, which is cool too. And no Reno. No Reno. No Reno.
No Reno.
So they editorialize and say, with that card pool, this Tavern Brawl can be like a preview for the upcoming standard. Hey, would you look at that? With a focus on the newest cards rather than just the current standard meta decks. Doing it this way also keeps the new cards off the standard ladder until the official set launch, so that people who don't want to participate in the Tavern Brawl are all still on the level playing field in the main game mode. So in the Tavern Brawl, they are excluding a few cards. So one of them, Renathal. So Renathal right now is in the core set. At rotation, he won't be. And in Tavern Brawl, he won't be as well. They've also banned Splendiferous Whizbang, which they say would kind of defeat the point of the Brawl if allowed. So yeah, you can't whiz-bang your way to a 6 win run. I know.
Listen, what if I roll mage?
You can't roll mage. You just can't play him at all. Yeah. They also...
I don't understand why they need to state that doing it this way keeps the new cards out of the standard ladder. Like, they weren't going to be there in the first place, right?
I don't know. I think they may have just been emphasizing that, like, it's going to be two different things. Like, standard itself would not be changed.
Like they ever just gave them all early into the standard ladder.
No. I think they were just emphasizing it. I think you're right that it was superfluous. Because, yeah, standard is not affected. Standard will be the same. Don't worry. I think that's what they were saying. Don't worry, standards staying the same. You're good. Don't worry, wild staying the same. You're good. We wouldn't worry about them taking away expansions like a rotation, right? So
yeah.
I think that's more what that one was. They also, of course, go on to note that they may ban more cards during the event if they need to. If they need to, that they will invalidate the decks with those cards and give the players affected a refund on their entry for that run. So they'll retire your run. You'll get your run, your stake back, so you can run it back for free. I imagine they don't specify it there, so I don't know for sure, but like I imagine that it would be like retiring a run. So like you'd get paid out like whatever rewards you were at there. That's supposition. IDK for sure, but like that's what I would imagine would happen.
So if everyone's just spamming big spell mage, they'll just ban it.
Yeah. like they could ban like let's say Tsunami, right? And so anyone with Tsunami in their deck, that deck would get retired. What I'm saying is that they would get their rewards for wherever they are. I don't know if that part's the case or not. I do know that what they're saying here is that everyone would for sure get their entry fee back, so they'd be able to run it back without like losing out on having paid the one before. So you'd at the very least be able to go again. And of course, they also make sure to note, and we made a point to mention this last time as well, that standard packs will not include the Great Dark Beyond packs until the expansion officially launches on November 5th. So even though this event's going on starting October 29th, don't think you can open standard packs to get the Great Dark Beyond cards just because you can open your Great Dark Beyond packs. Because you will be able to open those packs in order to play in this thing, but you won't be able to open Great Dark Beyond cards from standard packs. So wait until November 5th to open any standard packs if you want stuff from the Great Dark Beyond.
I think that's a good distinction, because I could see how someone at that point could be confused. Like, wait, I can open these packs, but then these packs are supposed to contribute to this set. What the heck is going on?
Right.
That distinction I'm on board with, for sure.
Absolutely. And every time they make a point in saying it, I make a point of us saying it here too, because I think it's always a good disclaimer to say. Like, we want to emphasize that, in fact. We always do. Case in point, we did now. So the entry cost and prize structure. Here's the catch and potential payoff. So everyone will get 1 free entry to the pre-release Tavern Brawl. So you show up, your first one's for free. That's how they get you.
Cool.
After that, entry will cost either, you can use any of these methods to pay for it. So tavern tickets, you can use 2 of those. So one method of payment is 2 tavern tickets. Or you can use 300 gold, or you can use 400 rune stones. So you know how before I was saying about $3 worth of gold? I didn't know about the rune stones. So you can just straight up use just real monies, use $4 dues and US dollars, 4 USD is what that equates to in rune stones. Or 300 gold or 2 tavern tickets. I think I have exhausted all my tavern tickets before the event that we did immediately before this event. The one that gave us, or was it the one that's going on now? I don't know. One of the recent events. I got 2.
Hydra's just rolling in tickets.
Yeah, Hydra's got so many. But I've got plenty of gold, so like those are what I'm going to do. I'm going to exhaust my tavern tickets first. Well, first I'm going to get my free one, obviously. Then tavern tickets, then gold. I'm not going to spend real money unless I need to, obvi. I think I'm going to engage in this mode, like at the very least, playing it through the free ones, right? So that's 2 runs. The free run that we got initially and the free run with the tavern tickets. If I enjoy it or am like drawn to play something else or like get additional cards and stuff that I want to play after that, I think I'll probably continue to play the mode. If not, I can see just going back to regular Hearthstone and waiting. But I'm excited for this mode. I'm really excited to try it out. I hope that I want to keep playing it. Because I want to keep playing it.
There's no twist right now, so this is your twist.
Kind of, yeah.
So true. So true. So sad. So true.
So the payoffs are as follows. So for 0 wins, you will get 1 Great Dark Beyond pack and 1 Perils in Paradise pack. So at the very least, you get 2 packs. Neat. For 1 win, you get 2 Great Dark Beyond packs. For 2 wins, you get 2 Great Dark Beyond packs and a common card from Great Dark Beyond. For 3 wins, you get 2 Great Dark Beyond packs, 1 Perils pack, and 1 Beyond common card. For 4 wins, you get 3 Beyond packs and 1 Beyond common card. This is the big one in terms of number of different things you get. For 5 wins, you get 3 Beyond packs, 1 Perils pack, 1 Beyond common card, and 1 Beyond rare card. And for 6 wins, you get 4 Beyond packs, 1 Beyond common card, and 1 Beyond rare card.
Oh, come on. Give us the Perils pack on the last one. Like what?
They just moved the Perils pack into a Beyond pack.
They moved it. Like it's not even a difference in actual value. They just moved. Yeah, carry the 1. Oh my gosh.
This this was like, I want to like this mode a lot. I want to support this mode a lot. Because I think this is a really cool, unique concept. And I think we said that last time we got together and made a podcast. So we said, oh, yeah, no, this is real positive.
It depends on what the rewards
The sticking point was the rewards. And I'm going to be honest, these are a little lackluster. Like they across the board, I know they probably prorated it based off of what you do for a Brawliseum. And then dial it back, or arena and dial it back. It just seems worse. I don't know. Like, I don't have a ton of arena tickets to spend. In some ways, I think this is like arena ticket bait. So Hydra, as our baitable arena ticket whale, like, are you tempted to spend on this mode with these incentives?
Originally, so when we had this discussion before, looking at rewards, totally. This was super exciting. Now I'm looking at the chart currently, and what I saw that we're just sort of moving around numbers in the for the last two wins 5 and wins 6. We just shuffled where the packs are, but it's the same amount of packs. It's 6 packs, right? You get 6 packs for what is it? Sorry, 300 gold. Yeah, it's 6 packs. So it's 4 Great Dark. Oh, you're right. Sorry, there's a card instead of a pack. Cards, right? So it's 4 packs and 2 cards.
And one of them's a common and one of them's a rare, which from getting the pre-orders, you're going to get all of those anyway.
So for 300 gold, you have to make sure you get 6 wins, and then you make money on your packs. So at 5 is your break point, right? So if you get 5 wins, that is when, or I guess 4.
We'll call it 4.
Wins, you get,
we'll call it 4.
Well,
it's not 3.
You get. No, it's not
definitely
3. It's
not
3.
3.
At 4, so you have to earn 4 wins where you actually get your money's worth, and you get your 3 packs and a bonus common. Woohoo!
I mean, at 3 wins, you do get 3 packs. Just one of them's a Perils pack.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you don't have a full set of Perils, then, you break even at 3.
But they're not... Yeah, I know, but they've even made it clear they're not focusing on the last expansions anyway.
I completely agree.
Which is weird. I mean, not weird, but
which is weird. So, you know what? Schmoopydady, thank you for asking that question. In all honesty, you sort of took the wind out of my sails.
Sorry.
It's going to be a super fun event, but I think there could be an uptick on this. Maybe they're concerned that maybe they could see all the accounts that have 20 plus tickets like I have, and they're like, oh, and nobody's going to pre-order. They'll just use all their tickets. Actually, that would
you could span that. So you span that arena, you're getting at least a ticket, right? And so you can't even guarantee that you're going to get a pack a ticket with this investment. You try to get 1 win.
If you get no wins, you do get 2 packs. Just one of them's Perils.
Yeah.
I don't think it's obvious enough to the public. I don't think it's obvious enough to the general player base that this is a good deal.
I think it's cool to. I mean, we already did play new stuff. That was sweet, but this is so. Yeah, what they do right is they got to the general public got to see streamers play the new stuff. Now this is your chance. You get to do it. And so that's part of the incentive too, is you can play the new stuff and unlock some new stuff.
And there's a little gambit to it, right? There's a little. It is a little thrilling in a slightly different way, which I think is worth noting.
I think, Hydra, that you hit the nail on the head though. The experience is what you're paying for. You're paying to be able to play with the new cards early. And to play in this kind of different curated environment more than you're paying for the rewards, I think is what the exchange is here, right? The better you do, the more you do get from it. And it does kind of help perpetuate, if you get more, if each time you do it, you get 6 wins, then you get more of the new cards to potentially make more of the new decks, right? It could be semi self-perpetuating, but at 4 packs, is it really? That's not really enough to be self-perpetuating, is it?
It's so funny because we analyze these things down to the complete economics of it and min-maxing, is it worth all this stuff? But maybe
do you have to be just grinding it for that to be self-perpetuating though?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that's what we're thinking. But rewind yourself to a point in time where you're yo, I can play some
I can play new cards, heck yes.
That's super cool, and I have gold in the bank. I don't have to spend real money. Like, I could do it. I could play with new cards. I can earn new cards. Like, a lot of people earn their collections by playing Arena.
Yeah.
Right. And this is like a similar situation. It's obviously a little more costly, but it's that cool new experience. Like, flipping Warcraft Rumble gets me all the time with these stupid cheap bundles that they're like, oh, you can get this new mini, they're called, not like minions,
right?
They're called minis. You can like get it all the way down the reward track, or you can spend $5 and you can get it like now. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. I'll spend $5 and get it now, right? And that's what this is, right? You can do it ahead of time before everybody else, and you could be in there and you could experience it first. It's kind of neat experiencing the things early and doing that sort of stuff. So I get it. Like, why not? And they got to monetize somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll be doing 2 of them. I'll be doing my free ones, and I don't know, if I'll be doing a whole lot more than that. We'll see. It depends on how much I'm enjoying the curated thing itself. Which we'll see. We shall see. It depends on what I open up to determine what I'm playing first, right? Like, we'll get to theory crafting to see what it is we may want to play. So we need to get there. So there was one more blog post, one more news item, and that was about the Great Dark Beyond community events. So segueing right into that theory crafting. So theory crafting streams. We did this yesterday. Hooray. So we'll talk extensively on that very shortly. There were Twitch drops for it. Hooray. Pre-release Tavern Brawl. October 29th through November 5th was the next thing. They talk more about it. We just covered this in our previous news item. Hooray. Community days are also coming up. So October 29th through November 2nd, community days return with free packs that you can use in that pre-release Tavern Brawl. So from October 29th at 10 a.m. Pacific through November 2nd at 10 a.m. Pacific, you can get up to 10 packs just for watching any Hearthstone stream, 2 hours per drop. So for each of these drops, so the first drop, 2 hours, is for 3 Whizbangs Workshop packs. So that is included in the new one, but it's not the new cards. Second drop is 3 Perils in Paradise packs. You can use those cards in the Brawl, but they're not the new cards. And the third drop, the big one, once you've watched for 6 hours, you get 4 The Great Dark Beyond packs. So those are the new packs. And since this is on October 29th, you will be able to open those packs and use them in the Tavern Brawl immediately once you earn them. So that's neat. And finally, in the Great Dark Beyond community events, they mentioned that the creator decks returned to the client. They started this last expansion, and it seems like they thought they went really well. I totally agree. So you watch their Expeditions All Reveal season. Now you can play like the pros. When the Great Dark Beyond launches on November 5, the in-game deck recipes will update to include decks from Hearthstone's iconic content creators. Try them out and play among the stars. So Cantaloupe's Rainbow Starship DK, Kibler's Starship Crew Demon Hunter, Kibler's Starcane Ship Druid, Day 9's Ceaseless Discover Hunter, Swaybay's Fiery Elementals Mage, Raffles Libram Paladin, Mark McKay's Mystified Draenei Priest, Clark's Schematic Heist Rogue, Raffles Space Rock Shaman, Mark McKay's Demon Starship Warlock, and Sloot's Akim Attack Warrior.
I have one question. So Day 9 Ceaseless Discover Hunter. We all know Day 9, how he likes just to like do the fun thing. Is Day 9's, does anyone know if Day 9's deck is actually good?
I would not purchase a Day 9 deck. I would not if I had a free choice. I don't know. I don't know, cuz.
It's so funny because he's like, I want to see the cool new animation.
Right?
Yeah, I don't
He wants
know.
to do the funny.
He's closer to a wild player than a standard. I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if I'd go there.
So
Great.
that finally brings us to our discussion topic. So the Theorycraft event. Let's start with how do we think it went? And Hydra, I want to hear from you first. How do you think the Theorycrafting event went?
You know, I think it went absolutely amazing. We had a lot of the people, from the pod that turned out to come see it. We had some schmoopy cord regs, up in the house. And, like, all in all, I think it was a success. Sheep and I took turns at the wheel, doing some games, and we made our way up from a bronze chicken to a bronze murloc. Okay, right?
Nutty win rate. I'll take no further questions at this time.
I did see Clark when we hit bronze 5. I saw notification that Clark had hit silver 10. I was like, that jerk. I was like, how did you do that so fast?
This is happening.
We were like halfway through ours, and Clark was already in silver, and we were maybe at like bronze 7 or something. I'm like, what is Clark playing? No, it was a fantastic experience. I always appreciate it. Thank you, Blizzard. It's very much fun to lose to people like Trump, SC, and Cantaloupe. I don't feel like I need to win when I verse those people. And when we do, it feels great. I think we actually did pretty solid until we verse a certain opponent that we'll talk about later. How do you think it went, Schmoopydady?
I thought it was cool. I thought that, I don't know, our personal schedules were all kind of nuts. I was like coaching that day, so I came in like an hour late, and Sheep kind of started on his own, but like, he had to leave for a brief moment and like pass the stream off to Hydra, and so like, and Hydra, you came not that much later than me, but like a little bit later than me, and so like
an hour 15.
It was like very adulty. I felt very adulty. Like I was just like, man, I'm not. This is not the day that I want a Theorycraft stream. And so I was like, sort of Theorycrafting against my will. And meanwhile, I know a bunch of people would just like love to have been there, playing with the new cards. The new cards are at least fun and cool. And we can get into impressions and whatnot in a minute. Sheep, do you have any capstone thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head. Like from a personal lens perspective, like we all were kind of like, I had to step aside for you made it sound like I just kind of was leaving for a brief moment. I had to step aside for like an hour. Like I was gone for like an hour.
You were there most of the time.
Yeah, I was there most of the time for sure. Like I was at a work conference earlier in the day beforehand too. Like, was doing, like he said, like we, at that point kind of just had to work it into our schedule. Whereas other people, I think at this point would be like, yay. And
yeah, we all have full-time jobs. And, children and like other arrangements, right?
And I was still super duper excited for this thing, but also, golly, life, slow down so that I can like just be excited about the fun thing, please.
Right? Like I was so appreciative that you had a little more bandwidth than I did to watch some streams earlier and get maybe like an eye on sort of what's going on.
Yeah, and at lunch was the only time I was able to. But yeah.
Sheep was able to at least get an eye in there and throw some decks in. And meanwhile, I was at work, and basically I was like, I'll get there when I get there. And so I showed up about an hour 20 minutes in, something like that. And Sheep thank you, Sheep, had like thrown a bunch of decks into our thing, and then he's like, okay, I'll play one more game, but I gotta go. And I was like, all right, so now I'm gonna play the decks that Sheep put in here that I've honestly haven't even looked at because I've been at work all day, and I'm gonna verse all pro streamers playing the decks that I haven't even looked at. So a little nerve-wracking, right? But it all worked out. We won some games, we lost some games. Super fun experience.
Yeah, buddy. Okay. So now that we know that like the experience itself, a blast, life itself needs to like calm down so that we can like truly bask in the gloriousness that was the theory crafting event. But we enjoyed that thing. The cards and mechanics, like how do we like them? Schmoopy, I'm going to start with you this time.
Yeah, no, so the mechanic that pulled me, like the one that spoke to me the strongest, honestly, which is probably like not even close to the top tier, was the quote unquote Among Us DH. Getting the crewmen to kind of like sit next to each other in hand was very easy. The idea that you are just sort of like paying for mana and then dropping a ton of stats felt very Caverns Below. Like it felt like a wild mechanic if the pieces themselves lend themselves to the right deck at the right time. And can we make a wild version? I'm not sure. But it didn't, I'm going to say it bluntly, it didn't suck. Like, I thought it was cool. It kind of, you know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of Big Spell Mage at the last Theorycraft we played, where we played Big Spell Mage and we were just like, well, Big Spell Mage is cool, but like also like, I don't know, it's got these glaring weaknesses. And then like we were kind of impressed by it, and then sure enough, here comes like actual like standard meta, and we play the actual standard meta, and when we play the actual standard meta, oh, it's not like the greatest in the world, is it? And then lo and behold, they buff a little thing, and oh no, it's the nuts. Never mind, it's the nuts. So like I could kind of see, it wouldn't shock me if Among Us Paladin or Among Us DH is like one of those things where it's like it doesn't look all that impressive, and all of a sudden like a little buff, boom, it takes off. Or a little nerf, boom, it takes off. Librams were good.
Yeah.
And Starship felt slow. Sheep, Hydra, who hasn't weighed in yet? What do you think?
I think it's Sheep's turn.
Sure. I was really, really excited for spaceships. Like, I was excited to go spaceship like all day, just spaceship. And I was still doing that thing because we were playing the spaceship cards, but like the payoffs for having like a spaceship puck on the board seemed good. Like the draw 3 cards, and like exactly. If you're building a spaceship, then they're 2 cheaper.
Remove 2. Yep. Those felt good.
Actually playing out the spaceship pieces, it always felt like I was overpaying for like, I didn't want to be playing those things. And then whenever it came to launching the spaceship, like it never felt like I was getting my mana's worth whenever I was launching the spaceship either. So like, honestly, I really like where they were going with the spaceship. Kind of sucked. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all.
It was very Timmy.
I usually really dig the Timmy things, and like, I didn't like playing with the spaceship. I'm going to be completely honest. Now, there's a lot I really liked playing with. Let me be completely
of, like, screaming
clear.
Spaceship every time we played the spaceship. Spaceship.
Now,
spaceship!
I loved doing that. That was the fun part.
Starship.
It is supposed to be called Starship, but I'm going to call it a spaceship every single time. I'm going to be completely honest.
We play wild, baby.
We play wild.
We can't name things. We call things get down.
Yeah, we call things get down. So I played Noble Sacrifice. What is that? Get down. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Get down. Yeah.
Exactly. Now there was a lot that I really did enjoy. Really enjoyed. Death Knight. Death Knight was really fun.
Death Rattle Death Knight was cool.
Yeah. I think that the Draenei have a lot of potential. I didn't think of. I know that that's not how it is the pronunciation guide. I'm still going to say
Saw
it
me
Draenei.
straighten up very quickly. Very quickly. We have a brand new rap. How did this not make the news?
Because I forgot to push the paste button.
Fair enough.
So I think that they're very close to being like viable. I wouldn't be surprised if we do have like something that's wild where Valen does have like a payoff with like a hunter. The thing that we talked about before, but like we didn't make a wild deck to try out with the Death Rattle payoff with Draenei, because like there was only so much time, y'all. Like Hydra and Schmoopy understand. Like it feels
so
like
short.
it's like you have 6 hours. It sounds like you have forever, but dude, that 6 hours is
You
nothing.
do and then you don't. Yeah, because everybody's playing Durl decks too.
It's so weird. So like basically Sheep, you piloted for like the first 2 hours of the thing. I would say how long did that feel?
I mean, it didn't feel like long.
Right? Like it's weird. It's weird. So whatever it was, and then when I started playing, and then it was over, and like it was nuts because I was playing for at least like 3 to 4 hours, and it feels like you played for maybe like 45 minutes or something. Like it just goes by so quickly. Not like when you're just playing the game like normal. It's insane how fast it happens.
Yeah. Because every single card you pretty much have to read. Like, and
that's true.
That was one of the detriments. So one of the things that I think that visually was kind of cool was that a lot of the spaceship pieces had signatures and they thematically looked really similar. But that also means that signatures, you have to like actively hover over to read.
Yeah.
And we've played a lot of wild.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
We already know what all the cards do in general, but this was like a burden almost. I want to say. Schmoopydady, you had would you want to touch on this? You had something.
No. I shared with it as feedback here for the event. Like I was just like, listen, I saw like because I watched a lot of Engine early in the day, and Engine made some confused plays because he was just like, I didn't realize what card I was playing, and like sometimes it was really obvious, and like sometimes it was just like, well. At one point, is your pretty picture sort of like null and void as far as like, okay, as beautiful as it is, it's great that a comma looks like a movie poster. What does a comma do? Like, what is a comma supposed to be doing? What does his effect? Does the effect that a comma has line up with his art? Does it make sense? And like I think we got a lot of clashing of that where we had like the art was so good, where it's very hard to also convey what the card should be doing at the same time. Sheep, what do you want to say?
Yeah, I think that when the signatures do such different things, that's a fairly easy hurdle to overcome. For example, the Death Rattle dude, I'm terrible with names. That's going to be the case whether it's a signature card or not. But like the 6 mana Demon Hunter one, where when it would put the 2 things on the opposite sides of your hand and then you play all of them until they hit. And then they deal 5 damage to like I knew exactly what I was doing with that every time. I didn't have to read it, but like, I think what was throwing us off with the spaceship pieces is that they were all spaceship pieces and they all looked fairly similar. So it's like, oh, I could tell that one was a little different, but like that one does something different, but I can't tell exactly what it does, but I know it's a spaceship, but it's a spaceship. But that spaceship piece did that. Was this one or was this that one? And maybe it's some more that we just play with the spaceships that we'll just like know it more. But also,
1,000%.
Are we going to be playing with the spaceships a whole lot? Especially in our format? I don't think so. Honestly, in standard, like maybe, but like I kind of doubt it there too. Like it was not a very strong archetype. It could just be that I really don't like slow stuff. And it's a very slow thing. And so it just did not resonate with me in the theory crafting portion. That could change in actual play. I doubt it.
Did
but
say he's like, I kept gaining armor and winning. So like we might not be ready to like find the best strategy with it yet.
Right.
But it did feel like glacial. And the parts where I'm sure it's the nuts in arena. I think it's going to be very, very good in arena. In both of the constructed places where in like wild, am I really going to run a starship package to facilitate the one or two cards that might be relevant in my class to take advantage of the fact that I'm building a starship? No, not really. Standard.
If they weren't all so understated, like that's the thing.
And that's the thing is like, if you make it too strong, here's the thing: you make it too strong, it's going to dominate a 4-set meta, which is
I found
what's
that we
coming
were trying to get starship pieces out when it wasn't the optimal play. Like it was,
Absolutely.
you were trying to figure out
when we had time to do it.
Yeah, so like either play Spider Tanky Boy for the same amount of mana as someone who has a Raptor stat, right? So like, and then we want to play the Raptor like the 3/2 instead of the 3/4 for the same amount of mana because it's part of a starship, but like you're not playing for tempo and for board status at that point. It's sort of brutal. You're just handicapping yourself to do the cool thing.
Yeah. But then the payoffs did make it feel like we were rewarded once the starship piece died and we had the puck, right?
Sometimes
that's the other side of it, right? Like I think that's the bait of the spaceships, because like if they're always the wrong thing to play, then like and we should have just held them in our hand and not played them, then we shouldn't have been playing them.
Engine was
they've always done this. They've been doing this since Cthulhu.
Yeah,
they have to. They gotta have rush. If you really want them to be like, if you want them to shine as a mechanic, they need to have rush.
Yeah, at the very least, when you launch the spaceship itself, like the 5-mana one. At the very least, that one. It's in such a
weird spot, though. It's in such a weird spot, though, where it's like, do we really want spaceships to have rush? Like, it's kind of the way I feel about like the Spore minion, and like talking it through with like Marshy Chord people, where it's like, okay, I thought they were cast when drawn. I was like, oh, this is really good. This is cast when drawn. They're like, no, it'd be nuts if it was cast when drawn. Think about it. If it was cast when drawn, you could like coin out a Bright-Eyed Seeker and you're starting to make 5 drops on 1. Like, or there's some scenarios where you could just top deck enough to fill your board on turn 2. It'd be stupid. And it wouldn't be all that uncommon. So like, it's tough. Some of the concepts that they're trying to push weave a really delicate balance between balanced and unbalanced, and they're also trying to do something new at the same time they're doing it. And there might not be a wiggle room right now in standard or wild for them to get that power level balance right, whereas later down the road maybe they will be able to hit it because things will progress. Who knows? But that's where I feel like we kind of are with starships, where it's just like, okay, yeah, we could give them rush, but isn't that going to be like turbo broken in standard then? Like to like a kind of an aggressive extent where it's just like, well, it doesn't matter until you launch your starship, right? Is that where we're going to be?
I don't know. Maybe. And the thing is, I think maybe you're exactly right. Like we've kind of been ramping up power level and ramping up power level. And I don't think that's a bad thing. That's how you keep things interesting. And this kind of seems like kind of the opposite. And there's kind of been a decent call for that in the Hearthstone community in general. Not by me, by the way. I play wild. I want the power level to keep going up. Like, I want to do the new fun, exciting thing. But people have been saying for a while that like, oh, it's just power creep. You know, you've heard power creep quite a bit, I'm sure. You know, that, you know, like X, Y, or Z is just so busted and like the everything just requires constant nerfing and to get it where it needs to be. And, you know, what if things come out just a lower power level? That's not necessarily a bad thing. But something can be lower power level, but still really fun. Yeah. And that's okay. That said, the spaceships did not resonate with me, but some other things did. Elementals resonated with me. We didn't really do too well with them, but I liked them. So it was like elementals and fire spells. So there's a new like elemental 3-drop that discards the top 3 cards from your deck. If they're elementals or fire spells, put them in your hand instead. And the way that I built the deck, it's only elementals and fire spells. So it's just a 3-mana elemental. Keep your elemental chain rolling. Draw 3. Like, that's all it is. It was great. I really liked that one. That one was fun. Asteroid Shaman was way better than I thought it was going to be. Death Rattle, Death Knight. I think Hydra, you mentioned that one already. That one was really fun. Yeah, I mean, like there were just a lot of really fun decks that we could play. However much the spaceship did not resonate with me.
Spaceship. Yeah. I've got one that I thought, it's kind of funny, I thought would be, I mean, I guess slow for wild or whatever, but dude, Kill Jaden is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
super slow for wild, but yeah, awesome.
Super slow for wild, but 7 mana, 7/7. Basically, replace your deck with an endless portal of demons that get +2/+2. Totally awesome finisher for like a fatigue warlock kind of thing, right? Like get somebody all the way down.
It's like a 2021 busted card, right? Like it's really, really cool. Like they should have done it in 2021 or 2022. It's like it's too late now.
Yeah, like I don't know if that'll ever fit in wild, but in standard it was super cool to play. We won with it, we lost with it. It was neat to see, even when we pulled it off and didn't work out. But like it was really, really neat to see that, because yeah, once you get this, you're immune to fatigue at this point. You get the sweet portal instead of your deck, and yeah, so like you could be, you know, completely out of cards. You're now in fatigue, and you infinitely now just get these minions coming out with +2/+2, and it was way more powerful than I thought it was going to be, because we all know about, like, you know, dropping a big minion on curve in the end game isn't exactly the way to go in Hearthstone these days. It's something you could do in the past.
Was important. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just like one big bomb after another, like whatever. It actually was way better than I thought. And I'd like to see how this ends up in the meta, like going forward. I mean, standard wise, I don't see it being a thing in wild.
Yeah, just too slow. Whereas maybe with a spaceship meta in standard, maybe being slow is okay.
You mentioned the meteors or asteroids, whatever they are, with Shaman. Those are so cool, because I love shuffling things into people's decks. You know, bombs, whatever it is. For me, like whether it's our deck, their deck, it's that thing. I don't know why. I know Schmoopydady said it's a bit of a boring mechanic. I don't know why, but I think it's fun. I like doing it. It's a bit of solitaire when you're doing that type of thing. And then it comes out sort of random to like what's it gonna hit. But that's sort of exciting, right? When someone is, it's not super competitive. Like if you're relying on the RNG, where's the thing gonna land? Like higher up in Legend or whatever.
And we should have been playing Malagos in that deck. I didn't see that until after I had already built that one. And then didn't think to go back and put it in subsequent to that. Because if we'd been playing Malagos, so of course there's only one Malagos in Standard, y'all. And that is the one that fills your hand with spells. So you empty your hand with all these like elementals and things like that generate these asteroids. Then your hand's empty, except for Malagos. You got 9 mana. Like you pretty much just like dumped your hand. You drop Malagos. You fill your hand up completely. Any of the asteroids, just like pew 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 pew. You've been filling your deck up with them this whole time anyway. That's kind of the play pattern there. And then if your opponent's not, if you haven't won the video game, then your hand is full and you can continue to try and win the video game from there. Like
maybe at that point it's even more competitive.
Yeah.
Right. But like, I love that, like doing the thing with DK. I like doing that. Like Helya has been one of my favorite cards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it feels a little bit like Yu-Gi-Oh. You're interfering in like almost like in a forbidden way, where it's just like, oh, I'm not doing anything, but I'm dealing you damage. Like it's against the rules.
Yeah, it's exactly like what you were saying earlier. We set the rules, and then this card comes along, and that rule you can break that one now. That's fun.
Anything else? Anything else stand out to you guys?
Well, there were a couple of standout cards that we haven't talked about yet. One of them is the Ceaseless Expanse. So we talked about that the last time we talked, when all the cards had not yet been announced. And we were saying that it's going to be a good card. And, I think every single one of the games that we played that we weren't playing that card, we could have found something to cut and run the Ceaseless Expanse.
Yeah.
And been happy.
Yeah. You just like top in, just put it in there.
Just toss it in.
Yeah.
It's just a very good card. Like, I'd be very surprised if it doesn't see a nerf in some form or fashion, be it in the body. I don't think we're going to see a nerf to the cost. I don't think that's going to be a thing. But the body, maybe the effect, I doubt that we'll see a nerf to the effect. I think the board clear part is like the funny that they want to see from it. But instead of leaving behind a 15-15, if they're leaving behind like an 8-8
or something, yeah,
like that would be a significant.
So sad, though. I think that'd be so sad. I thought that card was really cool and really good, and like I'm okay with it being good because there is such a payoff to a thing that has happened in the game. But maybe it should be one-sided. Maybe you do have the cost, but you make it one-sided, so that like no, it's cards that you played, that you drew. It's minions that of yours that were destroyed. Maybe that's
so
the way
you
to
have
go
to
with
do
it.
Things.
So that you have more agency and emphasis on what you need to do versus, like Marshy was playing Librams and our Ceaseless Expanse is getting cheaper because he's always playing cards every turn.
Mm-hmm.
That's nothing to do with us. We could be a bunch of schlubs on a wall and it doesn't matter, right? So like it matters instead that whether or not we have agency over that. And Margie doesn't have agency over that in a sense because like he queued his deck, but like that's what his deck does to win. So like
and I think that's kind of, I think that it being synchronous, like not asynchronous. Synchronous isn't the right one. Being symmetrical. Being symmetrical is part of what makes the card not just good, but like cool. Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Because like if my opponent's playing a lot of like these small minions and like whether they're playing the minions or pushing the button, but a lot of small minions are dying. They're an aggressive deck, right? And we're clearing their stuff, but like they're keeping on building boards, and like it's kind of the late game, so their board's pretty big. But now it's not all the way to 0, but we have enough mana to actually play our Ceaseless Expanse, and we can do it there. Like that kind of counterplay of our opponents playing things and getting it cheaper is part of the experience of it. I think. I think that's a very like specifically designed and like considered element of the card, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
What's the legendary? It's breaking my brain, from Castle of Nathria. That was the top end of every single deck.
Denathrius? Sire Denathrius?
Denathrius. Yeah, Sire Denathrius. That's kind of what I feel like this new card is going to be. Like, you just put Denathrius in every single deck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're probably just going to do the same thing with Ceaseless Expanse, which may get it nerfed if it's just in every single deck. We'll see. But it's that cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that versatile. But it could get the Denathrius treatment.
I could see that. Are there any other cards that y'all thought like really stood out?
I thought the Libram package looks strong. Like we floated out to Martian Boo. Hey, would you want to play a little bit of Wild at the very end of the event, roughly an hour or so? And he's just like, I don't know if I can use him for YouTube. Fine. I asked Hat, and Hat's like, yeah, you could do that. That's fine. And so, Martian played us with his Libram Paladin, which is all tuned up, and we played him with like, I don't know, fart.deck. The wild deck as best as we can.
While I push the buttons to put these in there, I did not craft these decks. These were not sheep decks.
So anyway,
a better deck builder than I messed around and made these ones.
Name who made the decks that we played, but we were not playing the most highest powered decks.
And just because I piloted the decks, I'll still take credit for losing, but I only had the cards that were dealt to me. I'm just like a good, honest wild player. Hydra did in fact throw. That's okay. Like it wasn't.
Who hasn't thrown a game in their lives? Like, come on.
We're fine. We're fine. We Paquito throwing. Throwing.
Honestly, learning a combo deck that you've never played on the spot versus Martian Boo is kind of hard.
Happens all the time to me. Not facing Martian Boo, just like people being like, "Hey, here's my esoteric combo deck. Can you play this?" And it's just like, bro, I need like 20 games with this deck before this starts making a bit of sense to me. What are you doing giving this to me now? Sorry.
The funny thing is by the time I actually, like game 3 of it, I finally understood and then just bricked on the draw.
Yeah, exactly.
When I finally understood.
It's infuriating. It sucks. When it happens like that. And you did a good job. You did. You're a little slow in the first turn where you were popping off. You're just like, you're waiting there with a card. And I'm like, now you just green and go. Just green and go. Like, I can't give you any insight as to what the hell you're supposed to do because you don't know, because I don't know, because neither of us has the reps. So, like, we're just like, okay, play green cards, see what happens. Play green, see what happens. And if something breaks, it's like, oh, we were supposed to do that.
The thing was, I
bounce around.
I remember
bricking. Perfect.
The second time I forgot to play Sonya before I went again, and that was the problem. I'm like, damn. I was excited.
Combo is my weakest too as a streamer, where it's like if I'm picking up your combo deck, like it has to be a very linear combo for me to get it. Otherwise,
for me, it has to either be a very linear combo or like something that like resonates with me for some other specific way. Like combo has to a very specific combo has to call to me.
This deck is not very specific. It is play all of the things when you see them.
No,
and there's just there's a somewhat of an order, but other than that, it's spam.
A key part of this deck is Quasar, which is how much does it cost? Is it a 6 mana card, which shuffles all of the cards from your hand into your deck. Every card in your deck now costs 3 less. So, you run 2 Quasars, which cost 6, but everything else is pretty much 3 or below. So you can just like boom, 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 except for Sonia, which 4, and Freebirds, which cost 4, which after Quasar cost 1, which is a very important number for Sonia in particular.
I feel like I still wanted Shadow Steps in that deck. I don't know. I'll probably play around with it.
I think
I understand that you don't.
And we missed.
I know the one time I think once, yeah.
If it was Brand Sonia.
Which
and then I ran out of mana.
The number of times I've missed lethal doing one of those decks is innumerable. So like you really can't be too rough on yourself about it.
No,
it's just
completely.
It just sucks.
It was still fun. Lots of fun.
Unrelated Advice with Electric Sheep City.
So Sheep.
Hi.
Have you been paying attention to the new cards as they come out and as they've been spoiled?
No.
Okay. I thought so. Because we had a really interesting reveal and nobody made any comment to me about this particular reveal. We had the Libram Paladin patch revealed. Have either of you paid attention to who revealed the Libram Paladin patch reveal? So I pasted this in multiple Discords. This picture of the Libram cards and then the streamer who happened to reveal the cards. And it took until literally today for Meowth to be like, oh, wow, she's pretty. And so that told me a lot about the wild community. But here's what it made me realize. I was like, okay, this streamer looks like she belongs nowhere near a Hearthstone table. How often does she stream? So I did some research, and she happened to be streaming when I'm checking out the cards, and it's like 3K viewers in China. I was like, well, what's the thread here? And it turns out she used to do hot tub streaming, and now Sheep, here's where the thread goes to you. Okay. You have a lot of experience inside of a tub. My current working theory is what Wild needs as a shot in the arm as far as enthusiasm goes is more hot tub streamers playing Hearthstone. So this is more of an interview, really. What are your qualifications to become the next Wild Hearthstone hot tub streamer?
So I've hit legend multiple times while in the tub, never a hot tub itself. I have actually played Hearthstone while underwater on mobile. My best friend's for years now ex-girlfriend, whenever she got a waterproof phone, she wanted to show off that she could play Hearthstone underwater, and she was like, "I bet you couldn't win a game underwater." And
you're like, "All right, well, let's do it big and druid, and let's test if we can go a meter deep for an hour." Right.
Right. Her phone did not last very long. Funny thing about that. Yeah.
But you got your game, didn't you?
I did win. It was worth her account, but so I've won multiple games in and around the water. The water is a very important place for winning Hearthstone and relaxing and finding that zen that really makes focusing on Hearthstone possible.
Wiser words were never spoken.
And you heard that on
More to be wild.
But you will never see me stream from a tub or a hot tub. It's just,
What if I tip you?
No.
What if we tip you a lot?
I mean, how much are we talking about?
At least a few packs.